we're teaching, we're alive. We're like diamonds in the sky. Teach right like a diamond. You become great right away. Hey, now do the pretty girl.
There we go. There we go. Hello, fellow fellows and fellow educators. This is Diamond Emerald bringing you another gem, another teacher to teacher. So this is the final gem of the school year. And I have here with me, Miss Thalia Stewart. You want to say your full name, Thalia? Introduce yourself to the people and then just tell us who you are. What do you do? And we'll get started with this beautiful time together.
Hi and hello, everyone. I'm Thalia Stewart, or Thalia Anissa. A lot of people know me as that as well. I am so glad to be here with Diamond. She is a gem indeed, not trying to, no pun, actually pun intended. Okay. She was my director during New York City Teaching Fellows, and it is an honor to be here today.
Beautiful. So just go ahead. What are you doing now? What does this last year looks like for you? And yeah, that's a big one, but go ahead, take your time.
Yeah, this last year has been an interesting one, just having a hat and pulling out as many different, captivating technical things that we could to, and allow our students to see like, wow, we're going through something that we've never been through before. However, we're able to adjust, we're able to be flexible, and we can, make it through this together and showing, hey, if you have a day that you're just like, I can't do this anymore, that we've probably all felt like that, but we're going to keep going. This year's been interesting. I was able to have time like through COVID, through the lockdown, because COVID's still happening, to really invest in some other gifts that I have. And it allowed me to finish a book that I promised my students that we would do as we explored diversity in our classrooms and our libraries specifically. So we realized we incorporated math and ELA. We delved into our libraries. We took data as to how many books had representation of the students that were in the classroom.
Wow.
So we had a tally chart, like, are there enough Indigenous people? Are there enough Native Americans? Are there enough Asian Americans, or just Asians in general? Are there enough Caribbean, Black, African American, white? Like, we did an entire focus delving into, what is diversity? What does it mean? What is variety? What is culture? What is race? What is ethnicity? And just, allowing third graders to understand.
I was gonna say, aren't you in elementary school?
Yes, elementary. It's amazing how third graders really, like, I mean, look, don't look twice at elementary school kids, guys. They'll tell you some things. Yeah. And they were like, yeah, we want more mirror books. We want to have books that look like us. And we really focused in on the work that Marley Diaz was doing with her. She wanted to have more Black girl books and all that stuff. And so I promised the students, I said, I'm going to do that. And so a year passed, and then COVID hit, and there's no excuse. Not during COVID, but prior to that, I lost my grandmother, and, she was my best friend. And that allowed me to, really delve into the story, because I started the story and then I was able to finish it during COVID. And I've lost some people, and it allowed me to speak to others, because, I've been through some interesting things during the pandemic and prior to those years. And I allowed myself to be very vulnerable with my students, because looking at the Shine Bright framework, I really stands out, like Inspire. I'm like, oh, I'm regular. And some students write me notes, like they didn't see me at school for a few days. And they inspired me, and it's like they were telling me that I was an inspiration.
Yes.
I think that's a beautiful thing, even in the moment, in our darkest moments. It's amazing how kids really, they tug at your heart. And so I was able to finish my picture book, my children's book called Keep Going. And so there's a heavy focus. I spoke with my principal, and I also, like, at school, she asked me if if I was interested in delving a little deeper into trauma, because, I am a self-proclaimed mental health advocate. I've spoken to other mental health advocates, and like before teaching, I was actually studying public health in addition to public relations. So it's a lot of fun stuff. Fellows, we're career changers, all that fun stuff.
Yes.
So like social emotional learning, super amazing, great. Did ruler training, the 4 R's training, restorative justice.
Yes.
And I wanted to have an avenue where talking about mental health was, a safe place, because it's like if you bust your knee, you're gonna go to the doctor, get it checked out. It's like if something's happening inside your brain, there are tools to solve those issues. And so Keep Going really focuses on like the journey of the main character, whose name is Journey, and remembering going through loss. Like there's loss talked about in the story. There's a lot of different, I'll give you like a little sneak peek.
Please show us.
But like it's so cute. Like, so my students, when they're reading it, I'm allowing them, if they're younger students. So I read this to the kindergartners, and I was like, how do you think she's feeling on this page? Right. So it's interesting how they're able to express and identify emotions. And that allows students to have a better educational experience, and it allows them to be more self-aware. And so that really touched my heart, just getting their feedback, reading it to them. They're like, how did you get to convince Amazon to get your book on?
Yeah.
And then, in that question, it's like, you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
Like the sky is not the limit. Go beyond that. And that message is something that I carry. And, I dedicated the book to the students at my school, because I said, I keep my promises. I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I want you guys to be that type of person too. It's all for the kids, man. All for the kids.
I'm so glad you said so much just now. Thank you so much for tapping into the Inspire framework, for explaining exactly how to get through trauma, because that even connects to its tenacity part of the book, where we have to deal with ourselves and deal with our emotions in order to keep going and persevering. And also how the kids are your why, right? And I think that's something else that we have to identify, even for this next year, right? I'm calling myself the retention guru. I want new teachers to stay in the game. I want veteran teachers to stay in the game. What is that that's going to make you stay for that one more year? So I'd love it if you would just talk a little bit. So you talked about last year, and you talked also basically how you got into fellows to begin with. And so I want to touch a little bit on your other gifts and tech and talents, right? So you wrote this book, right? You have other gifts and talents. As you know, we reconnected recently because I saw you on that UFT. Wasn't it the Feed NYC event? Was that it? The fundraiser?
Yes. And it's so random. Recently, so our school building, in New York City, we share, building space. So someone from another school was like, I saw you at an event. And I'm like, because I knew the Feed event had already passed.
Yeah.
But she's like, yeah, there was like a UFT conference, and they showed the video again. I don't even know what it was, because I didn't even know.
The spring conference that happened a couple weeks ago. Not even, I think literally 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so something like that. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. She's like, yeah, the one where you're like, online. I was like, that is so funny. They didn't tell me anything about it. Like that's actually hilarious that they would choose that, and they would use that. So I was just like, oh, that's what's up. So they're using the video, they might be using your video as well.
I mean, there was another, they interviewed me for it, and they didn't have time to edit that video. So I'm just hoping that interview I did gets in there somewhere, whatever. I'm doing, there's they celebrate 10 people who got 10-year and 25-year plus celebrations. So that's coming up soon. Hopefully I'll be speaking for that. But yeah, the UFC, once we sign that contract, they own us, so, and our so
I don't mind, because
they want to show great work. Why wouldn't they show it again? Right? It was hella dope. And you were rapping on that one, right?
I'm not even a rapper.
You apparently.
I just it's on my YouTube, so it's anybody could use it, So it's just funny, because even that was a means to get students to log in.
Yes.
It was something that we started a rap challenge amongst us staffers, with another fellow, actually, Janice. It was Janice's idea. Actually, Janice and another teacher, and it was just like, she's a rapper, you know.
Like that's I'll say that too. Like, I'm not a rapper, Janice is a rapper. Like,
yeah, like, and so it was just like, all right, well, this is gonna go on YouTube. Let's bring that sauce, you know. So I do sing, so you know, there's that in, and as a photographer, you know, I have like some good cameras, so we
play the ukulele.
Oh yes, so I actually, fun story about the ukulele. I brought the ukulele to work, and a student dropped it.
A student what?
He dropped it on the floor. It's broken.
Sorry.
It's okay. I have to get a new one. So lesson learned: don't bring your own personal instruments to work, guys.
That's the second I invested you in them, and it hurts sometimes. It hurts.
Yes, and you know what? The kid was so nervous to tell me, and I was like, "What happened?" I was like,
"The face. You already know it's not good."
Sorry. I was like, I'm like, but how though? Like, because it was like the handle. I was like, how did this? Dang. I was like, it's all right. Are you okay? Are you safe? They were just really shocked.
Exactly. There we go. I love that. Appropriate teacher response.
I know. And then I was like, why didn't I freak out? Like,
I mean, what's
freaking out gonna do?
Like you said it, right? They're okay, right? What's the point, right? You know what I mean? It's not gonna help the situation. And if all the things that we're doing are for them, that is our first impetus. We can be mad later, not in front of them, right? Or be hurt later, you know, but that's not a moment where we're sharing our emotions about, you know what I mean, how upset we're feeling or whatever. You know, we didn't do it on purpose, things like that. Right. What would be your advice for a new teacher? So like, I know I'm teaching teachers who this is their second year in the game where things shut down. Maybe next year will be their first year. But having gone through the fellows process, having been a new teacher, a career changer, having gone through hybrid learning in general, and knowing that we're going to go back in person all, you know, next year, even though it's not going to be the same, you know what I mean? Like, so even with my book title, it was Teach Like a Diamond, Hybrid Teaching for Today's Teacher. I altered it, Teach Like a Diamond, Dynamic Teaching for Today's Teacher. I know that things are never going to go back to normal. I know that, and they shouldn't, right? The way things were, they shouldn't go back to normal. Even the ways that you were able to transform your teaching and really do this diversity work, that's a product of this time. We should keep doing things like that. Like, I finally got to a unit and history that I don't actually get to when teaching my class. So we should continue to do things like that. We've had to be more tech savvy. We've had to show up and smile in new and engaging ways, right? Computers are not gonna not exist just because kids are back in the building, right? So like, we still need to be hybrid in a sense, but I don't want people to be confused if they're like, well, I'm all in person, I'm not hybrid. Like, yes, you are, boo. Like, it's post, you know what I mean? Like, this is what we're doing now. So even with the changing of the book title, but just state like, what do new teachers need to know to stay in the game for next year?
New teachers need to know that they need to prioritize self-care. 100%. That is definitely a number one thing during the lockdown. Like, when we weren't in the classroom, I was going on hikes like every day, and teachers were like, how did you do that? I'm like, because outside isn't closed. Like,
say that again.
Some air, you know. On my balcony, I set up my, I had my hammock. So I hung my hammock on the balcony. You know, like, go do something different. Like, think outside of the box. We want children to produce, you know, certain things. We have these great ambitions for them, but we need to hold ourselves accountable and show up. Like, what do you look like at your best self? And so, you know, tapping into mindfulness. What does the best version of Diamond look like? What does the best version of Thalia look like? All right, so right now I might not be that version, but how can I get there? What do I need to do to get there?
Yeah.
So it's like, that's why self-care is important. Yeah. And I remember fellows, like, genuinely was like yesterday. Like, I got tenured. It's my 5th year, right? I mean, I got tenured last year, but during COVID, I got tenured.
That's what
like, I had my whole like video in meeting with the professor, with the principal and the AP via, you know, and there was anxiety, like, am I even going to get tenured because of this lot, like, you know, a lot of things going on.
Evidence we have, all that kind of stuff, yeah.
Right. And the advice, like, I remember 2nd year of teaching, it was like the first year again.
It absolutely was. That's how I felt. I thought that was new, you know what I mean? But no, I had 2 first years, like.
And it wasn't during a pandemic. So
Exactly.
I will, like, I would like to encourage, if this is your second year and you feel like, yo, like, did I even have a first year? No.
It's
It's
still coming.
it's freshman year again.
Still
It's like you'll enter sophomore year, your third year,
yeah.
honestly, because then, especially if you're teaching a totally different grade.
Yes. New
it-
curriculum. It's the same. That's how it was at my school. We have our 6th and 7th graders are taught together. So that next year was a whole new curriculum. You know what I mean? Like still some of the same kids, but like half of them were like, I was like, no, I'm a first year teacher twice, which is also why I feel like I'm equipped to teach to first year teachers. So I'm like, yo, yeah, I lived that multiple times. So I know exactly what you're talking about and what you're going through. Like, that's good.
right. And you have to really, like you said it, like highlighting your why. It's going to feel more like a burden if you aren't sure of why you're here.
Mm-hmm.
And the worst thing is to say this, kids can tell if you're not there for the right reason.
Give some Zoom claps to that. Because that's so
They know.
they can see
They know if your heart is not in something.
they can see it.
Children pick up vibes easily.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're like single moms, single dads that, let's say they go out and they start dating again. They bring someone around.
Yeah.
Kids peep game.
Yeah.
We're like, that person's phony. That person's not about it. And children will call you out. They'll tell you what's good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I feel like admin's always picking on me. No, we need to self-reflect.
Yes.
We need to journal. We need to know who we are. We need to know what our best self is. Bring that every day. There are teachers that are like, I didn't know, like, because like whatever reason they would find out, little bits about me, like little tiny things that I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. I did not know you were going through that. And I'm like, that's okay. They're like, but you came to work smiling. I'm like, why do I need to bring my garbage to the children? Are they a disposal? Like, are they the garbage disposal?
Right.
They don't deserve that. They deserve my best.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I'm not saying you need to be fake. I'm not saying you need to pretend, but I'm saying you need to be real and know what that looks like. Like, if you're not in a place where you're like, oh, I'm happy, sunshine. Okay.
Yeah.
Coping mechanisms, figure those out.
Yeah.
Highly recommend therapy for everybody. Even if you think you have it all together, please go.
It's helpful. Talk to somebody. That's good. You even touch real, recognize real. You're teaching my book, girl. Please. Yes.
I am your student.
That's true though.
I was like, who's this director? I like her. I'll be like,
you really, your picture's still on the bulletin board. Like, come on, girl. Like, the video of you playing the ukulele still on the phone. Like,
I need that video. Like, send that.
It was so, I'm gonna find it. Like, it was so great. You know what I mean? Like, we definitely.
I'm like, guys, I like country music. I hope that's okay.
Wonderful. You know what I mean? Because that is our best self. That's who we really are. And so I think that's great too. Like, during the quarantine and I was by myself, right? Like, I was like, what do I need to do to fix this? I'm a social person. I'm used to seeing hundreds of people a day. As a special educator, I'm bouncing through classrooms, like popping in, waving and getting things. And like, there's, like you said, a co-located building, there's people out. So that's when I started the videos every day. It was like, I need to put something out every day to reach and to connect. And I was like, no one's like talking to us. Like, no one's talking to teachers like, hey, like, you got this, you're great, but it's also hard. Let's get through it together. And then it's also about being real, like summer school is starting now. Are you working? Are you not? Like, that's a decision some of us need to make. The vaccine, are you getting it? Are you not? That's a real decision we need to make. And like, I talked to my kids about it. I had an advisory. And I asked them questions like, how should I feel about this? How would you feel about this? Do we have a choice? Do I have a choice? I went into this thinking that I wouldn't actually have a choice about the vaccines because of all the politics around it, because like we're a privileged group that was in that first subgroup that was not the same across the country, right? Like, there were teachers in other countries, like our states, begging to be first in line, but they weren't prioritized. So I'm like, what does that mean socially, politically, economically, as a Black woman, right? There are all these layers of this issue. So I had that conversation with my students, and I think it paid off tremendously. But then we are almost out of time. So I think one thing that I would also ask, because you're a tenured teacher and you know the game, you know how all of our colleagues respond. We know that there are some people who haven't been in that building for a year, and now they're being told, right, that they're going back into the building. We know that there have been teachers who have not put their best foot forward for a year. We know there are teachers who have been straight chilling. I'm just trying to be.
Can we say that again?
I feel like I could talk to you. I feel like I could talk to you, right? They've been straight.
I just had my so I had my observation debrief.
Yeah.
I had because we have to be flexible because like now I teach technology, computer science outside of the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to be flexible. I'm covering people, and I'm like, they're leaving. They're like, my stuff is. Let me stop.
And you're looking for it.
I'm calling people out, but I'm not trying to. It's just.
It's the truth.
I'm gonna say this because so it's not gossip. If you say that you have sub plans, have sub plans, but if your sub plans are the last lesson plan, and I see that the last lesson plan that you ever had was in February, this is happening.
Yeah.
You know, I'm grateful for them that it was me covering and not the admin. Because admin has had to cover because there weren't enough teachers.
It's the truth. Both of mine are teaching going into the classroom.
And I'm like, this person's lucky that it was me that was covering and not them. But I was just like, but the children.
Right. What's happening though?
Because thankfully it was a grade that I like obviously knew, and I was able to use things that I had from back in the past, you know, and thank goodness I loaded things on YouTube, like multiplication songs and stuff like that. But it's like, but what if I didn't?
Right.
You know, and so it's like that, figure out your why, please, because you're putting the kids at a disservice.
Yes.
You don't like, if you don't like teaching anymore, it's okay. Like, I think that's okay too. Like, people have to know it's okay.
Yeah, it's true. I think I was even thinking about fellows, like, I didn't want anyone to quit, but if you don't need to be here, you should leave. You know, so there was like Sean, like, you know what I mean? I don't want anyone just to quit because like, oh, I had a hard day and like kids made me cry. Like, yes, we all cry. Like that's just a part of the game. But if you found out that this was not for you, please exit stage right now before you get in the for real. And that's been a thing, a strong part of this practice too, is like facilitating people who can stay, but also facilitating that exit when it's time to go. Or those racist mindsets. So it's like, no, this is the way it's always been. This way it's how it's always going to be. Like, it's time for you to go. If you think ideal teaching is you sitting up in like the country home, you know what I mean? Like far away from the world and like posting a video and calling it a day, like, especially if it's boring, like you got to go. So
there are avenues for people like that's the thing. Like, if that's who you are, then own it, be you, always be yourself, right? Don't fake it. If that's what you want, COVID has been a blessing in the fact that there are so many new like remote jobs that are available. So if that's the route that you need to take, then take that route. Nobody's going to judge you. At the end of the day, no one's coming to save you. Do it yourself. Get up, go, keep going. Like that's, I mean, yeah, it sounds like I'm trying to plug, but no, that's genuinely more than a phrase. It is the thing. Like, you have to keep going.
Yes.
Stop worrying about what they're gonna think. No, execute it. There we go. That's a part of the framework.
That's the last one, because after you get all this goodness, after you go get your book and you realize to keep going, after they read through the framework, right, execute. Like that's what we have to do as soon as, September hits, but that's also making sure that you take care of yourself, right? Self-care in the summer. That's one of the benefits of being a teacher. Like people want to quit teaching all the time, left and right. But I'm like, will you have summers off though? Like, will you have that spring break though? Memorial Day, veterans, like, you know what I mean? Like you got to know. And if you're ready for that, do that. But like, we have the benefit of planning our time of restoration, our time of self-care, right? We know that we plan like crazy anyway, but like in the PDs that I'm doing with teachers now, I was like, Monday though, plan that day. Like if you're working all day though, but like, are you sleeping in or are you going to bed early? Like, what is it? Like plan your play and plan your prep so that we have energy to last. So thank you so much. Tell people, show the book again, tell people where they can get the book and follow you on your social media. Tell them all the information.
Yes. So yes, let's keep going. My name, Thalia Anissa. It is on Amazon. You just type in "Keep Going" Thalia Anissa. You will find it there. I just want to say, like, self-care doesn't have to be a weekly thing. It can be a daily thing. Like, it's little things. Like, I ate at my favorite restaurant. I read a book. Like, it's tiny things. I think people overthink it. Don't overthink it. It's simple things. Like I cooked salmon tonight instead of tuna. Like, I don't know, like whatever floats your boat, do it.
I have a song that I play at my Google, my YouTube knows, you know, my music. They're like, oh, this is the songs you play in the morning. Yep, to get me from the train to the classroom. Like,
that's self-care. You know,
absolutely.
get your mind right. And like, if you are under Diamond's guidance, it's foolproof. You're gonna get through this like 100%. She did not pay me to say that. She didn't even know I was gonna say that. But
Don't make me cry.
I genuinely like stick by it. Like I was able to get through some of the toughest years. In fact, like my first 2 years were tough. I had some experiences where some admin that's no longer there anymore didn't like me because of what I look like, and their experience was someone that looked like me, and they were taken aback by my response to them. So it's like I could have changed and I could have been what they wanted me to be, but you have to just know who you are and stay true to that always and forever.
Amen.
Keep going.
You want to sing? I mean, I just have to ask because you're a beautiful singer.
I want to sing. What song?
Whatever's on your heart, it does not matter. I just wanted to ask you, and I was bold enough to ask you.
Okay, she was bold. Oh man, guys. Let's see, what song? I'll sing Available. I was just singing that song on my Instagram.
Love it.
It's a Christian song. Hope you guys are cool with that.
Yeah, hey, like if they haven't figured that out by now, like I don't know. Like,
oh, and it's Sunday. Hey. So many times in my life have I tried to do it all by myself. After numerous failures, I've realized that the glory is due to God and no one else. Running to and fro, trying to make things happen. Slow down, that's what I hear him say, but it ain't until something bad happens. Turns my life upside down. But when I give up, it's all in your hands now, Father. Do what you will with me. Have your way, Lord. Please keep me in your will. Lord, help me to be still. I just want to be available to you, yeah. I will do whatever you instruct me to do. I just want to be available to you, yeah. I just realized that ties into like teaching, like being ready and having your calling and being available, you know.
Yeah, all day. Amen. It's true, right? Because
I still want to sing with Diamond. I've asked her.
No, this is happening. Don't you worry. This is happening, right? Let's plan this. Actually, let's get off Facebook and buy Facebook Live. Love you, right? The replay will be on YouTube this week for this week's gem, Teacher to Teacher. This was Miss Thalia Anissa Stewart, right? Make sure to get her book. Keep going on Amazon. And
type in Stewart though, or any other last. Yeah, that's the stage name. That's the stage name.
Diamond Emerald. I guess we're in the same belt, like scratched off the last name, right? We're doing this.
You're related.
Yes, absolutely. And then this month, you'll be able to start pre-ordering Teach Like a Diamond, Dynamic Teaching for Today's Teacher. The website will be teachlikeadiamond.com. It's on my website, Miss Diamond Emerald, MissDiamondEmerald. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.
Shine bright, teach right, you and I. Teaching kids like diamonds in the sky. Teach bright like a diamond.